So, hi there, I'm Emily, and I finally decided to give in to all of the suggestions from my various friends to start a sewing channel. And so, to kick off the first video in my sewing channel, I will be mending and decorating a set of Ikea Hemnes chests of drawers, because that's sewing related-ish, kind of. I can put the clothes I make in them, so it's relevant, I'm hoping. So first I'm going to show you around the condition of the chest of drawers that I have. I got these second-hand on Facebook for about £20, which I'm hoping is a good price. I mean, they are in quite bad condition, need a lot of fixing. And you can see that that drawer is out, and also it doesn't have the base inside, but I do have the base. I have all of the parts I need, I think. They did say in the advert that it has hair dye stains, and as well as the drawer base that is completely missing, the other drawers need sort of reinforcing in. They're sort of, the bases are coming out. This trim should be down here. And I have the handles. They sort of fell off in transit for some reason, and I lost one of the screws in my car. So I'll just have to find a replacement screw for that, but that's easy and it's the last thing to go on, so I'm just going to carry on. And this was originally attached, but then my toddler really helpfully decided that he was going to pull it off. So my plan first is to mend the damage to them, get all the pieces back in place, fix the drawers, then clean everything down, give it a coat of paint with the white furniture paint, and then I'm going to be decoupaging the fronts of the drawers with the paper I've got. It's wallpaper from just a hardware store. And then that gets finished off with the furniture lacquer. So let's make a start. So just a quick disclaimer at this point, I'm not an expert at restoring furniture. I've probably done it maybe once before and I've decoupaged a few things, so I'm just going to kind of run with the skills that I've already got and see how it goes. So this isn't so much of an instructional video as just a vlog of my process fixing up these drawers. So I hope it's helpful in any way. Right, so the first thing I'm doing is attaching these back on, which is one of the runners from the bottom drawer. The holes are already there. They were quite short screws and these are quite thick, so I'm going to switch it out with some longer screws which will eat better into the wood and hopefully hold it on securely, because the first hole's a bit kind of mangled already now. A useful thing, which I forgot to mention before, is Ikea on their website to keep the assembly instructions for all of their different pieces of furniture available to download as digital copies. So I've already downloaded those for this chest and looked at how it was meant to sort of go together and come apart. Right, so annoyingly, to get this one piece in, I'm going to have to take off the top and the back and undo however that piece goes in. I have to check the instructions for that in order just to be able to get this piece back in properly. Also, I just spent about 5 minutes looking for my screwdriver and it was in my pocket. So that was fun. So I'm just taking a brief interlude from the chest at this point, because I noticed when I was moving this drawer that this is the one that had the base missing, and because it didn't have the base in, it was able to flex quite a lot, and as such this has become very damaged. So I want to fix this and glue it and give it time to dry. What you're watching now is how to attach the Right, so now we're moving on to the drawers. I think I'll probably just show you one of these and then it's the same process for the other two. This was the one that was the most broken. So, and you can see here, but earlier I tried to glue those back in. I'm not sure that's going to hold, but I'm going to glue the dowels. I'm probably also going to put a little bit of wood glue down here as well, just to kind of hold it all together. Hoping that works. Just gluing everything. Oh, hello. Yes, you're helping, aren't you? Yes. Go on then. Boop, boop, boop. This breaks again, which I'm really hoping it won't, but if it does, I'm a little bit screwed. Alright, so while that's drying, I've put something heavy on it. And look, it's a sewing machine. Never it's a sewing video. I used a sewing machine. There we go. Look at those two. What are they doing? Alright then, so we're on day 2 and still technically day 3. And today is going to be cleaning it down with some sugar soap, sanding it down, and then finally get to start painting and decoupaging, which I'm looking forward to. It's the fun part. So I'm going to get started on that then. Yes, that's right. Mosh, mosh, mosh. So I don't know how well you can see. I'm hoping that I've sanded it enough. I don't really know how much I need to do it. Let's just give us the paint something to grip onto. Oops. Oh dear. Okay, so I've now done one coat of the white paint on the chest drawers, so while that's drying I'm going to move on to the decoupage section, which is the bit I've been looking forward to the most. So the first thing I'm just going to check is how big the repeat is on this paper, because it could end up being quite wasteful and you've got to think about where you're going to place the piece before you start cutting them. Basically, the drawers are wider than the sheet of paper, so I'm going to have to pattern match them to sort of have them next to each other, which is why I need to know the repeats. And I definitely don't want to just have it sideways, because I don't think it looks as good. I think it looks nicest the right way up, which, you know, I'm not sure. Which way do bluebells go? Okay, that, no, it definitely goes that way up. Very distinct little ladybird on this big flower. And the repeats here. So that's our repeat on the paper. So that's not too big. So I think what I'll do is I'll make sure this little ladybird dude is front and center on this straw, because I love it. So I'm going to cut it so that piece is in the middle of this straw. I'm going to have it so that this flower is in the middle. And I find that actually what's quite easy is to just crease it where the edges and get a nice sharp crease by running your finger over it. And then actually, before you glue it, I then cut it out using that crease line as my guide, and then just stick it straight on. And it's already the right size. That's the way I find it easiest to do. I think the other way of cutting the edge of paper with decoupage is to have an overhang, and then I think you use a Stanley knife or a scalpel to run along the edge. But I find that very fiddly actually, and it's very easy to go offline. If you had a nice thick ruler, you might be able to do it more accurately. So now I'm going to cut that out. Yeah, there's the repeat. Okay. I'm going to get a pen, I think. And I'm going to be a little bit generous about it, I think, at first. Right, so now to mix the decoupage glue, you just take regular PVA glue. I'm hoping this clear one I've got will work. And the easiest way to make decoupage glue is a 50-50 mix between PVA and water. So what I'm going to do is empty out half this into a tub that I can use for something else. And then just fill up the other half of the bottle again with water. Leave it about there. Right, so this can go away. Probably not the best way to store glue, but I don't know. Right, fill this with water. Now I'm going to very carefully give this a shake. So I'm just going to check these pieces. Good. Alright, so last thing I need to do is obviously trim them down to the right width. Now you want to get this really smooth. The great thing about PVA glue is it's water-based, so it washes out pretty easy once it gets wet. Which is why you need the furniture lacquer, because when I've done decoupage before, I've just coated everything with PVA glue, but it's not waterproof. As soon as it gets wet again, the glue just goes back to liquid, and it becomes very delicate what you've done. Oh, it looks so good, I'm so happy! Okay, so now I need to cut the other end to the right length. You can actually see what I'm doing. Why decoupage glue has to be 50-50 water and PVA glue, like why it needs to be watered down, I'm not 100% sure, but it works, so I don't question it. same, not too thick, just making sure you've got a nice even covering over the whole thing. And one of the reasons why wallpaper is the easiest thing to use for this is it just lies nice and flat. Because it's quite thick, it's actually easier to use. You don't have to worry about it wrinkling up and such. When I've used tissue paper before, there's a terrible wrinkling problem that you end up just having to live with. Okay, so that's stuck on. You almost can't see the join. So now to seal that in, we actually give it another coat now of PVA glue, which is why it doesn't matter whether you got it on top or not. Now try and keep it going one grain. Just keep remixing it. So this is part of now sealing it in. Take this one away. Oh, except actually no. Very tempted to be very fussy and pattern match each drawer to the next drawer as well. I'm giving myself a lot of extra work here. I don't need to do that. I need to pattern match each drawer really. But I think I'm going to do it. Theoretically, if we just cut this side, it should line up. Yeah. Okay. So we're just going to have this be the next side and I'll pattern match that side off this one.
Here I'm sanding down just some of the imperfections in the paint from the first layer that went on, and then I appear to be giving it a second coat of paint. I don't really remember why, it must have just needed it, but as you can see I'm just giving it a second coat all the way over the chest of drawers. I also need to apologise for the mess in my room in general, sort of during this video. I think we'd not long moved into this house and there was still a lot of stuff that just needs somewhere to go. And so now I'm applying the final coat to the decoupage, which is a furniture lacquer. This will make it more water resistant than just the PVA would, and it gives it a harder finish, which is good when an item's going to be used a lot. You need to make sure though that it's one that's clear without a coloured tint, because most furniture lacquers and varnishes will have a coloured tint to them, and you obviously don't want to ruin the nice colour of the wallpaper that you've chosen. And then finally I'm just poking a hole through while it's wet, because it's a lot easier to do it while it's wet than once the paper's dry. These are for the handles to go through. And lastly, I wanted to add a lining to the drawers. The newer version of these Hemnes drawers have a much nicer sort of lined base to them than this grey plastic. So I wanted to try and sort of copy that using some of the leftover wallpaper. And I didn't bother like doing a particular direction on this. I just sort of wanted to do it quick and easy by this point. I was a bit bored of the project. But I was using the same method as I did for the outside of the drawers. I sort of just laid a bit of paper in there and creased roughly where I wanted to cut it, and then used that to make my line. This was then glued in using more of the decoupage glue. You could probably, I don't know if you could have used just regular PVA glue at this point, but the decoupage glue worked fine and it stayed in there nice and solidly. I suppose it's technically still decoupaging, I don't know. You may also notice my outfit here is very summery. This was filmed in the summer, but it wasn't even filmed last summer. It was filmed in the summer of 2020. And the reason why it's taken me about a year and a half to sort of do this video and upload it is it took me that long just to edit it. My garden doesn't look that neat and tidy anymore. I need to do something about that. And so here we have the finished set of drawers, and I really love them. I'm really happy with how they turned out, and I really want to decorate the rest of the room based around them. You can see here I put the drawer dividers in them as well, which is why I particularly wanted these drawers, because you can get drawer dividers that fit them perfectly, and I find that very satisfying. The only sort of problems I've noticed with these is that there's quite a lot of drips in the paintwork, and I think that might be because the paint I used was one that was specifically for kitchen cupboard doors, and that seemed like an appropriate paint to use to me. But the instructions said that you needed to lie things flat when you were painting them, and I'm guessing that's because of these drips. So, an important lesson to know for next time. But I'm really happy with the finish on the decoupage. It looks quite seamless. And so thank you for watching my video. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I'm hoping to do more soon. So stick around, and you never know, there might be another video and it hopefully won't take another year and a half to post.